pitching has been the one constant our Sox have had all season. That has not changed yet in this three-game series with their crosstown rival, and both Carlos Rodon and Chris Sale have kept the Cub bats silent in today. Today, Jose Quintana looks to follow suit as a north side sweep is there for the taking. We are coming to you from the city beautiful, Chicago, Illinois, where this afternoon Comcast Sportsnet presents White Sox baseball. There's Jose Quintana, Avi Garcia, Melky Cabrera and the Sox as they get set to butt heads with Joe Maddon's crosstown rival, Chicago Cubs. Hi, everybody, and welcome. I'm Ken Harrelson with Steve Stone as we get set to bring you the finale of this three-game set. As you know, we've taken the first two. We won the opener 1-0. That was Rodon in the bullpen. Then yesterday it was Chris Sale with 10 strikeouts. We won that game 5-1. But all of you out there, I know, and all of us here, have really got to be excited about what's been going on the last couple of weeks.
Well, certainly the pitching has been otherworldly. In fact, both the bullpen and the starting rotation has been close to unhittable. In the last 11 games, 9-2 because the ERA is 183. Opponent's batting average is 189, and you look at the strikeouts, over 9 per 9 innings. Quality starts in 11 games, 9 of them. Double plays turned 18, and yes, 6 errors. However, 4 committed in 1 game, so that means that the defense has been very good. And the defense will continue to be good because these guys now believe in themselves, and that's a good sight.
Well, there's 2 more good pitchers out on that bump today.
Certainly this is a great pitching matchup, a righty and a lefty, and Jose Quintana has been brilliant lately. But when you look at the wins and losses, you have to shake your head. 8 straight quality starts, and he's 2-3 with a 2.70 ERA over that span. And that's been the case with Jose. He's among the league's best, but you'd never know it. You would know it, however, with Jake Arrieta, who's been absolutely brilliant. He's 3-0 over his last 4 starts. His ERA 1.17. He's won 9 games. His career high in wins is 10. Arrieta is their #1 pitcher. Maybe not their highest paid, but the guy who is #1. This is going to be a good one today as the Sox look to sweep it here on the north side.
Well, that's the story right there. Can we have a south side sweep on the north side? We'll find out today. So sit back, relax, and strap it down. White Sox baseball coming your way.
We had a talk with Robin Ventura, and he was addressing the state of the team heading into the All-Star break.
I don't know if it's baffling, but you sitting there and you see him play a better brand of baseball. We're pitching great, so I think anytime you can pitch like that, you have a chance. defensively we're playing better. I think that helps out with the pitching and just limiting what the other side can get. And at that point, you get opportunistic and get a run here and there when you need it, and you end up winning some games. But baffling. I don't know if it's that, but you like the feel of what these guys are bringing to the table every day. They haven't quit. They haven't given up on anything. They continue to play hard, and that's what you can ask for. We put ourselves in a situation where you have to just continue to play well, and I don't think this is any statement or anything else, but we're playing better baseball, and that's really what you focus on. And I know there's a lot that goes into this just because it's the interleague and two teams in the same city and all that, but for us, we're happy with the way we're playing baseball right now, and I think we just continue to do that. The fact that we're playing the Cubs right now, I mean, it does bring a little excitement to it, but it doesn't mean any more than when we were playing last week and playing good teams and playing good baseball.
After the break, we take a look back at two of the greatest baseball players to play in our great city of Chicago, so stay with us. Both the White Sox and the Cubs are honoring Chicago icons Minnie Minoso and Ernie Banks for what they meant to baseball in this city, each wearing throwback jerseys from their playing era. Our White Sox are wearing the 1959 throwback road jerseys, and the Cubs will wear the 1958 throwback jerseys with Ernie's number 14 on them. Here's a look back at two of the greatest baseball players to ever represent our city.
What a great thrill that was. Just tremendous. As I was rounding the bases, I was thinking about all the people who have helped me become a Major League Baseball player, and of course playing here at Wrigley Field certainly has been a tremendous asset to my career.
Minnie Minoso looking for his first hit, a runner at first base, 2 out. That is a line single to left. Holy cow! Listen to the crowd.
I give my life to the game, and I think the game give me everything I am.
On August 14th, the entire White Sox team will don the number 9 when the teams meet again for a 3-game series at U.S. Cellular Field. Now let's send it down to field level with Wayne Messmer for the singing of the national anthem. But first, the singing of God Bless America.
At this time, please remain standing and join Wayne and Kathleen Messmer as they honor our nation with God Bless America, followed by our national anthem.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above, from the mountain to the prairie, to the oceans white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of
Coming up, Kip Lewis sits down with our ace, Chris Sale, to talk about the first half of this season and his 4th All-Star selection. We'll have it for you after a short break. With our ace, the All-Star, Chris Sale.
Well, Chris, I know you don't like to talk a lot about yourself, but you've gotten a lot of attention this year with what you've done, the double-digit strikeout performances. When you look at this season to this point, where do you think you've improved the most coming into this season?
Just trying to stay consistent. I mean, that's the biggest thing in sports, and especially in baseball, is coming in and, you know, doing the same things every day and just trying to stay consistent. You know, if you stay, you know, on the same plane, you know, things work out a little bit better that way.
One of the things you get to do here when you come to the National League Park, you get to step into the batter's box. Now, you had one yesterday, like maybe you were swinging for the fences. Your guys kind of gave you a little reaction. Were you trying to get one out of here yesterday?
Yeah, I mean, as an American League pitcher, you don't get too many opportunities to swing. So when you do, you definitely want to take advantage of those opportunities.
What would you have done if you hit one out of the park?
I probably would have pinched myself first.
You're about to make your fourth All-Star appearance. As a young guy, you know, you've been through this before. What does it mean to you? Because you're now being recognized as one of the best pitchers in the game each and every year.
It's just humbling. I mean, you know, I really, it's hard to put into words sometimes, but, you know, I appreciate it. It's something that, you know, I don't take lightly, but, you know, I try not to put too much emphasis on it at the same time. You know, not to be ungrateful, but, you know, you just want to kind of stay the course, not get too high, not get too low, and, you know, like I said, just stay consistent. Consistency is the name of the game, and just, you know, try to better yourself every time out.
You've thrown a lot of innings this year. Robin came out and said today that he preferred that you didn't pitch in the All-Star game. Do you have a preference? Because obviously your number one priority is what you do with this team, but how would you feel about not pitching in the All-Star game?
I mean, it's a great experience. I've loved it in the past, and it's always a fun time for my family and I, and you know, sometimes some friends meet up there. You know, that's a decision that he's going to make. I'm leaving that up to him. You know, I don't make those kind of calls. I've loved pitching in the past, and I would like to, but, you know, like you said, at the same time, you know, I want to put this team first before any other team, and you know, whatever decision they come up with, you know, we're going to go forward with that, and I'm still going to enjoy it. It's still going to be a great time. It's still going to be fun.
Would it hurt a little bit less because you have been there before and you have pitched in the game?
I think so, yeah. You know, I think if this was my first go at it, I would probably be a little bit more adamant. But, you know, I understand where he's coming from, and, you know, like I said, it's not my decision to make.
Chris, appreciate your time.
No problem.
Stay with us, because after the break, we'll have the lineups and the first pitch in the finale of the Crosstown Cup Series right here from Wrigley Field.
Sportsnet is brought to you in part by your Chicago area and Northwest Indiana Lexus dealer, who invites you to test drive a Lexus today. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Illinois, through it all. Audi, truth in engineering. Xfinity, your home for the most live sports. And by Toyota, see where Toyota takes you. Test drive one at your Toyota dealer. Toyota, let's go places.
Welcome back to the ballpark on a beautiful day for baseball. And let's take a look at how Robin is going to line up our Sox for the game this afternoon. Adam Eaton leading it off. And Tyler Saladino has had a pretty good defensive series and had a big triple yesterday in the 2 spot. Melky Cabrera is batting third, playing left field. Then it's Abisail Garcia, Adam LaRoche at first base, Lexi Ramirez, Tyler Flowers, Carlos Sanchez, who's been swinging the bat well, and Jose Quintana batting 9th and rounding it out. The defense and how they'll line up between 9 and 5, Jake Arrieta, Chris Norfie in left field, Dexter Fowler in center, and Jorge Soler is in right. That's Chris Bryant at third, Starlin Castro at short, Addison Russell at second, and Anthony Rizzo is at first. Taylor Teagarden with the nod behind the plate today, and our Lexus Pursuing Perfection starting pitcher is Jake Arrieta. This is 18th start. Trying for his career high in wins, that would be 10. His ERA 2.80, 114 strikeouts and 112 2/3. He's only walked 25, and he's had magnificent control, only allowing 8 home runs in his very small ballpark. The umpires for the game this afternoon: Mike Everett behind the plate, the crew chief. Tom Hallion is at first, Dan Bellino is at second, and Alfonso Marquez is at third. Here's what it looks like in the American League with 1 game left before the break. The Kansas City Royals in first place. Minnesota Twins in second place, 4.5 games back. The Tigers having some bullpen problems, 8 games back. The Indians at 10 back. And our Sox pretty much tied with the Indians, the aforementioned 10 games back in the Central. So they've thrown the ball around the infield. Jake Arrieta is ready, as is Adam Eaton. We're ready to play baseball, and I'm ready to turn it over to my play-by-play partner, Ken Harrelson.
All right, Steve, thank you. And once again, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to White Sox baseball right here on Comcast Sportsnet. And the first pitch of the ball game swung on and fell back. And before we show you our picks to click, you at home select yours. Adam 1 for 7 in the series, comes in at 248, 6 homers and 17 knocked in. Oh, 2.
Arrieta's fastball will top out at 97. He has a power curveball and a cutter slash slider that he uses, varying the breaks depending on the situation.
That didn't take long. 1 down.
Well, there is that power curveball that we talked about, and Arrieta, acquired from Baltimore, just keeps on getting better. Nice stop by Teagarden, and he retires Eaton.
First couple of times we saw him, we got to him. The last couple of times we saw him, he got to us.
Now, he's been exceptional this year, and he has emerged as the #1 pitcher for these Cubs.
Here's Saladino. Kyler takes first pitch strike. Got his first major league hit yesterday. That was in the first inning after Eaton had doubled. He tripled, knocking in his first RBI, scoring his first run. And the count 0-2. Outfield bunch. They're going to be bunching almost all our hitters all day long. They don't move around a whole bunch. That's inside, and here at the ballpark, 355 down the left field line, 353 down the right field line, 368 in the gaps, and 400 straight away center. Got him for 2 outs.
And with Arrieta, you're going to have to approach him as a hitter a lot like Toronto approached Chris Sale. You better get him on the fastball early in the count. This is his cutter, and it really moves late. It's in a perfect spot, and with that curveball and that cutter slash slider, hit the fastball early, or you're probably not going to hit it too hard.
Here's Melky at 264, 4 homers, 34 knocked in. He has faced Arrieta 5 times, has 1 hit, and that was a home run. So far, nothing but strikes from the big right-hander, and he's big, 6'4", 225, 29 years old, out of Austin, Texas.
There you look at the career, and it's just going to get better. He's just now learning how to put everything together.
Which is not unusual.
No, it takes a while.
Well, you know, but on the other side of that page, we're seeing more and more youngsters come in much better prepared to play Major League or pitch in Major League Baseball games than in years past.
We see how quickly Chris Sale got to the major leagues and how quickly he developed.
Yes, he did. But he strikes out the side after having a play. Strikeouts, nothing, and there guys coming to bat.
Jessup, Iowa. So let's take a look at how Joe Maddon's going to line up his Cubs today. Dexter Fowler leading it off, and it's Anthony Rizzo, the all-star who's been red hot. Chris Bryant, another all-star at third base, and Jorge Soler. Chris Northview has hit the ball well in the series. Starlin Castro, Taylor Teagarden, Jake Arrieta, and Addison Russell rounded out. The defense and how they'll line up behind Jose Quintana left to right. Melky Cabrera, Adam Eaton, and Abisail Garcia. In the infield, Tyler Saladino, Alexi Ramirez, Carlos Sanchez, and Adam LaRoche. Tyler Flowers gets a nod behind the plate. And our Lexus pursuing perfection starting pitcher is Jose Quintana. This is 18th start. He's just 4-8, but the ERA a fine 3.69. He's got 8 quality starts in a row, only 26 walks in 107 innings. He's only allowed 9 home runs.
And if you're just tuning in, you will see a lot of number 14s today. Throwback uniforms. As here is Dexter Fowler. Picking up his first hit in the series.
Dexter, a switch hitter who's a much better hitter from the right side than he is from the left. And he picks on a first ball fastball, something the Sox did not do against Arrieta. Takes it right back up the middle for a base hit.
So here's Anthony Rizzo. 2 for 5 in the series. Comes in hitting at .298. 16 homers and 48 driven in. Cubs hitting at .239 as a club with a 3.34 ERA. Cubs at 24-20 here at home, 22-20 on the road. Decent lead by Dexter.
Quintana's had pinpoint control recently. He hasn't walked a hitter in his last 22 innings. Max Scherzer has the longest active streak with 32 as you took a look in at Joe Maddon.
strike for an 0-2 count. Got a quarter of a step bigger lead at first. That's in the left field. We got a man there.
That was pretty typical of Anthony Rizzo's two-strike approach. He just wants to protect the plate and take the ball the opposite way, and he chokes up on the bat. He hit it well, but with the wind blowing in today, it's going to be difficult to hit it out. It's 74 degrees at game time. The wind blowing in toward the Cub dugout, and Rizzo hits it hard, but fortunately right at Cabrera.
He's got one of the best two-strike approaches of any young power hitter you want to see. Anybody. So here is Chris Bryant, 269, 12 homers, 50 knocked in. Only took him 70 games to make an all-star team, which is quite remarkable. Bryant 0 for 7 in the first two games.
Can't see from our vantage point. Evidently Melky cannot come up with it, so it's quickly 1-0.
This one down the line past Tyler Saladino. It's a cutter inside, and Bryant going up there first pitch swinging. That's the game plan against Quintana, who throws a lot of strikes. And no chance for Tyler to get that one. So the ball caroms off the wall, and Melky does not get there and has it just go by him. It looks like it'll be a three-base hit. It'll be a run batted in. And for Bryant, that's number 51 this year, and it is a triple.
So the infield in with Arrieta on the mound. And it's 2-0. Broken bat by Soler.
I think it's time for Jose to adjust a bit in that the Cubs are going up there swinging at the first pitch. They don't care what it is or where it is. But all three hits have been on the first pitch. And that's a fastball. Soler drives in the second run of the ball game. And for him, it's RBI number 21.
DeNorfia. 1 for 5 in the series, but that's not the story. He's hit the ball hard. Right at people. They had a couple of good plays made on him. One and one to count.
Threw that high fastball just barely up and out of the zone and threw it right by DeNorfia. First half of this year, Jose has got a lot of mileage out of that high heat. So with a 2-run score this inning, that's more runs than Sox pitching has given up in the last 3 games combined.
Outfield slightly to the right, gap out there in left center. Inside. Just off the plate. Last 28 games between these two clubs, Sox, are 17 and 11. There he goes. Ball is hit hard once again by Northwood. Meanwhile, they come up with two quick ones and they lead it 2-0.
Brought to you by Miller Lite.
And right now, let's check out our picks to click this afternoon. Mike Curry and the crew. Well, they went with Melky. Steve's going with Carlos Sanchez and J.J. Shearer and David Novak. And I, along with Jessica Shearer, we're going to go with Tyler Saladino. Two nothing bad guys, and here is Avi. Garcia, LaRoche, and Ramirez to face the big right-hander, Jake Arrieta. Took that pitch nicely. Avi at 275, 7 homers, 31 knocked in, 1 for 8 in the series. Little looper soft in the center field. Dexter comes on. And we are on Twitter. And there they are. At Steve Stone, at Hawk Harrelson. Well, we're going to put one out this morning. It would have been a beautiful day for a sweep. Now we got our work cut out for us, trailing this big guy by 2. As here's LaRoche. Adam at 225, 9 homers, 33 knocked in. They got a shift on.
Jake Arrieta is a classic example of what kind of trade you can make if you're out of it. He came from Baltimore with Pedro Strop, who's a valuable member of the Cub bullpen, and 2 international signing bonus slots for Scott Feldman and Steve Clevenger. That was back on July 12th of 2013, and Baltimore needed somebody to get him over the hump. And that trade has proven absolutely one-sided in favor of the Cubs. But that was a whole lot of tomorrow for part of today as far as Baltimore was concerned.
And there's There's a little soft pop up. Fighting the sun. Makes the catch. Well, you can go back in history of baseball and see where there were a lot of tremendous trades made under that scenario.
Well, you got to do it if you've got a shot at it, because nothing is promised you next year. But if you have a shot, you've got to trade to get over the hump and get into the playoffs. Look at the Doyle Alexander, John Smoltz deal.
All those deals. You can find some tremendous deals. But the big thing is that scouting. It all boils down to scouting. And scouting is the heart and soul of this game. Always has been, always will be. Especially with free agency the way it is and the money the way it's become. But that is what a minor league system is for. The scouts have got to fill it up with good young prospects and make it like a candy store for the other 29 teams.
Well, the real good teams have always brought up their best and traded off the next great, and you can fill in the blank, and that next great fill in the blank never turns out to be quite as good as when they're selling them to you.
Well, he strikes him out. First here's mine, the rest of them are yours. That's another 1-2-3 inning. That's 6 in a row retired by Arrieta. Sportsnet and the Spanish broadcast. The Spanish broadcast will be available on CSN Plus. Two nothing Cubs. Here in the bottom of the second. Yeah, the first obligation of the minor league system is to supply the mothership. The next is to make it attractive enough to attract all other comers.
And to do that, you have to be exceptional at player development.
Well,
scouting and player development, that's what the essence of minor leagues are all about.
Yeah, that's why some clubs that's why some clubs are better than others on a consistent basis.
Once again, jumping on the first pitch, but this time Jose made a pretty good pitch. This was on the outer portion of the plate, high and away from Castro, who tried to pull it, and an easy ground ball to Tyler Saladino.
Here's Taylor Teagarden. Oh for 5 in the series. Lifetime against Quintana's 2 for 4 with a homer.
Miguel Montero jammed his thumb, had to come out after a couple of innings yesterday. And we had heard that David Ross would be eligible to come back off the concussion DL. But Taylor's getting the start.
bad break for D. Gordon. Wow. That's a shame. Son of Tom. Of course, you missed that. He's with the Marlins. Made the All-Star team. He was going to start. And there's that head first slide into first base. Tear that thumb up, and that's exactly what he did.
There's a lot of people will tell you that you can get there quicker with a head first slide.
You know, and a lot of people who you tell it to will not listen to that.
And I've always had an answer to that. The fastest men in the world, the men who depend on a thousandth of a second to get across the line, always go in and lean through the tape. Those are Olympic sprinters.
They want the gold medal.
If you could get there more quickly with a dive, they would be diving. None of them ever are.
No, it's just ridiculous. When I was in the Kansas City organization as a kid, at 17 years old, they put us through paces just for that purpose, to show us that we could get across that bag by running through it rather than sliding. And every time it happened, you run through the bag, you get there quicker.
I don't mind a slide into first base. If you see the first baseman shifting and you're trying to avoid the tag, that's one thing.
That's another slide entirely.
But looking for speed, you got to run through the bag, and also you get hurt a lot less by doing that.
Well, you're starting to see now a lot more injuries at second base as well. Thank goodness Adam Eaton stopped doing it with us.
It's a good way to spend a great deal of time on the disabled list.
Yanks that one. Did he break his bat? Checks it out to see, and it's okay. So that's another $100 bill saved. Major League bats cost you $6.
Yeah, now the handle will cost you $6.
Dave Chellick, one of our good friends, was telling me that right across the street here, a pack of cigarettes is $13.
Fortunately, he stopped buying them.
Well, that's into right center field. And 2 down. When I was a smoker, I was 3 to 5 packs a day.
Well, I didn't say he stopped smoking. I just said he stopped buying.
Well, a lot of guys have never bought.
That went up into the wind and to right field. Unless you really hit a bomb, it's not going out today.
Here's Arrieta. He is 3 for 36. As a hitter. Of course, I also remember when you could buy gas for 16 cents a gallon.
That was during the Garfield administration, wasn't it?
Pretty good hack at that one. Count 1-1. Well, these bats right now at $100 are a little cheaper than some of the brands, because a couple of the brands dropped out, and those brands were $130, $135. I think in the Orlando was there's a curveball strike. Then he told us one builder of bats was $165.
Price is no object as long as someone else is paying.
And as long as it works.
Here's a look at a few of them.
He gone. And then we turn us out a 1-2-3 inning, and it's still 2-0 Cubs.
With a World Series anniversary pack. You choose 3 games from the World Series Championship Reunion weekend and the 3 World Series Moment bobblehead giveaway games, and receive a 4th game in September or October for free. For full details, visit whitesox.com/2005pack. They've resolved all their differences. Sox fan, Cub fan, enjoying just a gorgeous day at the ballpark.
As that's the way it should be.
That's it. Come out for the beauty of the game of baseball.
Here's Tyler. And Mike Lear, our producer, tells me Ozzie is all over me about my tweet. I'm going to have to start consulting with Ozzie every day. I'll give him a buzz and see what we should tweet. We'll come up with some Jim Dandies. One and one. Can't wait till Ozzie gets his next manager's job. Then I'm gonna wear his behind out.
Tweet him every day.
Tweet him every day. Two balls and a strike. Tyler 3 for 7 with a couple of big RBIs yesterday.
There was 2 cutters in a row, one a little further out than the other. And that's the 5th strikeout for Arrieta.
Well, this might be the best cutter we have seen all year right here.
Well, he's got one that he breaks a little bit bigger than the other. But both of them he throws in the zone. He's got very close to pinpoint control. And with the stuff he has, he can be overwhelming as he has been this first half.
Well, last year he wasn't too bad at 10-5 with a 2.53. I mentioned it yesterday. Our guys, just last couple of times we've seen him, he has had no problems with us.
No, when you get 25 starts as he had last year with the ERA of 2.53, you're getting it done.
Text it up.
Denorfia, very shallow in left field, and probably closer to the left field line than we've seen against any hitter.
That just foul, missed the bag by inches. We have not even smelled anything close to a hit.
That's the closest thing.
That's it.
And that was foul.
That was it.
Backdoor breaking ball, but it misses wide.
Jim Deshaies, one of the final analysis for the Cubs, working with Lynn Casper in the store, told me that he was being magical this year with that backdoor breaking ball to left-handers, which is what would be a backdoor breaking ball for him. He said he was the best I've ever seen at that anytime was Lamar Hoyt back in 1983.
It's just so easy for left-handers to give up on that, and it just snaps over the outside corner, and you can grab a seat.
Bank gets a nice Cantini bounce.
When Chris Banks stays over the top of his throw, he has no problems. The only time he will have some problems is when he gets under the ball, and they've worked a lot with his footwork at third base because he's a tall guy at 6'6". So he has longer strides, and he's got to get the footwork down before he can consistently get the throws over there accurately.
Well, that was just a mistake he made yesterday on that throw. He was going to go to second. Figured, nah, better go to first. By that time it was too late. He got underneath it and threw it away. Oh, 0-2 the count to Quintana. So he's got 6 strikeouts now through his 3 innings of work. Your Chevy dealer. That's against tonight at 7. So for schedule information, visit csnchicago.com. It's a 2-0 Cub lead. Arrieta has retired everybody he's seen in the first 3 innings, 6 via the strikeout.
Starting to look a little like yesterday's game with 2 quick runs on John Lester with the first 3 hitters. Then Lester got real good. but he was going up against Chris Sale, and at the end of the day, it was those 2 runs that did him in, and the way Arrieta is throwing. The Sox have a tough task today against the right-hander, looking for his career-high 10th win.
Here's Addison Russell, the second baseman, just 21 years old. There's a breaking ball strike.
Addison has some power, but he hasn't had an extra base hit in his last 45 at bats.
Oh, and 2 the count. In game 1, he went to the plate 3 times and walked 3 times, which is unusual for a 21-year-old strong youngster. And then yesterday he was 1 for 3, solid single in the left field.
Talked with Joe Madden, who absolutely loves Addison Russell and marvels at the smooth transition from a lifetime shortstop to an everyday second baseman. Not an easy thing to do, especially with a double play made behind you instead of coming across the bag in front of you.
He gone.
High heat once again, and since Jose has been using this, he's become a whole lot tougher to hit. You get ahead of the hitter, you throw that fastball just below chin high. They can't lay off it, they can't hit it, and he goes down on strike.
So here's Dexter. He started off that 2-run first. First ball fastball hitting. Lined a single in the center field. First pitch that Quintana threw. Question the other day on what was our favorite part of the All-Star break. Yeah, that's a base hit. And for me, it's going to be sure 4 days off is nice to be able to spend some time with the grandkids, maybe play a little golf, but it's also going to be with great anticipation for the second half, so to speak, quote, quote, the second half to start with the way we've been playing, finishing up the first half. It always makes it nicer when you finish up strong the first half.
Especially when you're climbing back into a race that at times looked like it was going to be very distant. Now 3 games under 500. Things looking a whole lot better heading into, if not exactly the second half, pretty close to it.
Yeah. That breaking ball. Rizzo lined out to left field. Hit the ball hard. Very impressive. Very impressive plate presence he has.
Well, Anthony Rizzo's well-hit average is .245 over the last 2 months. That's 5th of all the full-time players in the major leagues. League average is .142, so he's not exactly double league average, but he's 100 points better.
Got a modified shift.
That time he was just looking fastball, and if he got a fastball, it didn't matter where it was, he was going to air it out. Thinking about hitting the ball out of the ballpark, not up there exactly.
Well, no, that's too bad, but when you're strong like that, you don't have, if you're looking fastball and you get it, it doesn't have to be exactly where you're looking. It can be a little high, a little low, a little in, a little out. Of course, you don't get many Kirby Puckett's and Yogi Berras who got hitting zones from tip of the nose to the tip of the toes. The Rizzo right here is going to go choke up on that bat. Part of his 2-strike approach. And chops it foul.
That front foot is a whole lot different with 2 strikes than earlier in the count. He barely lifts it, if at all, barely strides, just making sure, or at least trying to make contact and put the ball in play, knowing that if you put the pressure on the defense enough, there's a whole lot of defenses that don't execute very well.
Either hard high or take something off that breaking ball. Boy, right underneath his hands or take something off. Breaking pitch going away.
He got hit as he has gotten many times this year. When you stand on the plate, you're going to get hit. And he knows with Bryant coming up next, he just has to get on base. This one got him on the back elbow. So Rizzo, he's aboard.
Well, he's going to have to do something about that. He's going to have to learn how to alter his technique, because he's shaking that right now. It hurts. He just didn't want to show it, but you don't want to lose that guy with a fractured elbow or a fractured wrist or a fractured hand.
That's the 19th time he's been hit.
He's got to change his technique.
19th.
They got to work with him when he's getting out of the way. Bryant tripled right down the line into left field. Well, I played with a guy, he's a good friend of mine, God rest his soul. He couldn't get out of the way of it either. And it ultimately led to his demise. And that was Tony Conigliaro. Got hit in the face, side of the face. With a pitch from Jack Hamilton, who was not trying to hit him. Lost sight in his left eye. Played a little bit after that. But if you threw it wherever you threw it, that's where you were going to hit it. He would try to get out if it was thrown at his head, but he had a broken bone almost every year. The 0-2 pitch. He did not go.
Next strikeout for Bryant will be strikeout number 100.
Well, he's got 51 RBIs, and you would definitely trade 100 strikeouts for the 51 RBI.
23 years old, first year in the major leagues. Yes, I hope to tell you would.
Well, it's like Joe was talking about. This is definitely a swing and miss club. And as young as they are, when you're talking about 25, 23, 23, 25, 21, yeah, they're going to strike out.
You got to go back up with the same fastball he laid off of 0-2 and throw it by him upstairs. But you better make sure you get it up if that's the pitch you choose, because down around belt high or lower, he'll crush it.
He gone. That was a good pitch to hit. He just missed it.
He went to the fastball, wanted to get it up a little higher than he did, but swings a touch tardy, and he threw it by him for strikeout number 100.
Here's Jorge Soler. Had a broken bat single, knocked in a run in the first inning. Yeah, you can live with a guy who's going to strike out 300 times and knock in 153 runs.
Not kidding. Soler didn't like that call, but that one had the whole zone, and Mike Everett was right. It was a high strike. And if you are just joining us and you realize the uniforms look a little different than they normally look, that's because the Sox are wearing their road 1959 uniforms and the Cubs wearing their home 1958 uniforms, and everybody celebrating Ernie Banks is wearing the number 14.
And in August, when they come over for us, all our players are going to be wearing number 9. As yanked foul. 1-2.
Ernie Banks, Minnie Minoso, not only great players for their respective teams, great ambassadors of the game of baseball. They both meant a great deal to the city of Chicago. And it's really nice what the teams are doing to honor both of them who passed away this year. And that will be there all year long. The man they call Mr. Cub.
In the way that you have seen him portrayed, the way that you have seen him in videos, that's the way he was.
He loved each and every day coming to the ballpark, whether he was playing or whether he was retired. He just thought that that was a treat.
Be gone. And we'll go to the 4th. We need to put some balls in play.
All-time leader in games played and an MVP in 1958 and 1959, and both of those Cub teams finished way up the track. One of them finished last place and inducted in the Hall of Fame in 1977.
Adam Eaton drives the bunt. Well, that picture that you just saw of Ernie Banks, that one right there, that was him. That was his personality right there. He loved people. He loved everybody.
His catchphrase was, "Let's play. Good day for two. Let's play two."
One of the best days I've had was playing golf with Ernie. We played golf several times together. One day in particular was just absolutely phenomenal. first tee to the 18th hole.
He didn't stop talking.
He did not stop talking.
There was no doubt about that. I could see where that one's going, knowing Ernie that well.
From the first tee to the 18th hole. Bobby Mercer was in town, and Bobby played with us that day out. Boy, I'll tell you. How about that? That's our first base runner.
No, it really isn't, because unfortunately,
he called it a strike.
A ball was called a strike. That ball was out of the zone, but Mike Everett thought it was close enough, so Adam's going to have to come back. And Adam was just saying, hey, that ball is up and away, and this is a break for Arrieta and not a particularly good break
for Adam. That's just a bad call, that's all. That's all it is, just a bad call. Erase the walk, put down and out for Mike Everett.
Celebrate the holidays in the middle of summer with Christmas in July on Tuesday, July 21st. The ticket package includes a game ticket and an ugly Christmas White Sox t-shirt. Also, Christmas-themed events will take place during and throughout the game all over the ballpark. To purchase, visit whitesox.com/Xmas.
Takes the bunt. Tyler Saladino struck out his first trip. And there's a base hit. You can cancel the postgame show. So JJ and Jessica Shira and all the great folks at Ditka's and David Novak and all the great folks at Pookie Hyundai at Downers Grove. They're picked to click.
2 hits in 2 days. And when you get a chance in the major leagues, regardless of what anybody tells you or anybody thinks, you make the most of it, because you never really know when that opportunity, that 3-game opportunity, will turn into a lot longer stay.
It's a day-to-day game. Baseball, that's one of the beautiful things about this game. It's a day-to-day game. It always has been, always will be. As here's Melky. He struck out his first trip. The scenario could be he comes in, makes a couple of good plays at third, swings the bat well, impresses Robin and the coaching staff, and all of a sudden, first thing you know, poof,
he's there. Certainly played well enough at third, and
he's a good infielder.
And swinging a bat.
And he's 25 for 27 in stolen bases down in Charlotte.
Getting a base hit against John Lester and now against Jake Arrieta with a righty-righty matchup, that's not an easy thing to do.
That's the reason JJ and David picked him. There's another pitch off the plate called a strike. Melky just talking to him.
And Mike Everett is saying, obviously it was close enough.
Well, that's not the point for hitters.
No, it's not.
It's supposed to be over the plate.
During the 10-game hitting streak, Melky hitting a robust .361, has his work cut out for him today. The outfield playing fairly shallow, as they usually do with the wind blowing in.
Fouls that back.
This ballpark, the ball is affected more than just about any place else, because even though they've raised the bleachers, they're still not as high as they are in many parks. And when the wind blows in, line drives will go out. High fly balls better have a whole lot on them to get out of here. That one, I think, hit Tyler as it got by Rizzo and bounded right back to Arrieta. So that's a break for Arrieta, not necessarily a break for Tyler. He's going, wait a second, you're supposed to catch that.
What did he hit him right in the butt?
It looked like it.
It's the best place to get hit. First and 30, Malcolm. Let's get on this board. just going to hang up.
Well, unfortunately, that's the best advantage of playing shallow because of the wind, is you're going to take line drives that normally would fall for hits, and they're going to be just lineouts. And Melky trying to extend that hitting streak. Hit the ball hard, but he's been doing that a lot from the left side especially.
Ivy went out to center field. He's got him. Russell throws him out. So we get our first base on our first hit by Tyler Saladino. TSN goes 101 with 1985 Bears Super Bowl champion quarterback Jim McMahon. Inside Look. Jim McMahon, presented by Cadillac, premieres Friday at 4:30, right here on Comcast Sportsnet. Here's Chris DeNorfia. Hit the ball hard first time up, but into a 4-6-3 double play. Boy, that was some kind of fun team to watch, the 1985 Bears.
If you love defense,
well,
that was your team. And there's the coach.
There have been a couple of teams that have come close, but in my opinion, as that's in the left field, that's Campbell. 1 out. But that's the greatest defense I have ever seen in a football team. I mean, they were fun to watch.
Northie hit that ball pretty well again, but not today. There's a young man. He's got a really good seat. And a young lady.
Well, I just hope somebody's going to make sure they watch the baseball. Castro takes strike one. And strike two. He don't.
Your local Ford stores are proud to present the 2005 World Series Reunion Weekend, July 17th through the 19th. Be sure to arrive early on Saturday, July 18th to see your favorite players from the 2005 World Series Championship parade around the field, presented by your local Ford stores. Together, we'll go further. Purchase tickets today by visiting whitesox.com/promos.
5 strikeouts now, as here is Teagarden, hits it hard. Meanwhile, grabs some bench and we're into the 5th. And photo. Use hashtag Chicago Data Strong Fan, and you just might see yourself in an upcoming broadcast brought to you by T-Mobile. Look at that. We're into the 5th inning. We have 1 hit, no runs. They have 4 hits and 2 runs. LaRoche, Ramirez, and Flowers. 1 pitch, 1 out.
Getting right into that shift, it makes things a whole lot easier, as Bryant was a man stationed with the least room to have to cover.
Alexei struck out his first trip. So far, if you're just joining us, this is some of the best right-handed stuff we've seen all year outside of Corey Kluber. And that young kid, Lance McCullers, Houston.
What this actually looks like is Corey Kluber from last year when he won the Cy Young Award. And I think it's somewhat surprising, although when you look at 9-5, you say, okay, maybe there's a few other people better, but in the National League, not too many better pitchers around than Jake Arrieta.
No.
So he probably feels a bit slighted, as guys do who are having good first halves, not to be chosen for the All-Star team, but somebody has to be left off, and unfortunately for the Cubs, it's Arrieta this year.
That game that Kluber pitched against us at our place, that's the best right-handed curveball. And I've seen some good ones. I'll put it this way, that's as good a right-handed curveball as I've ever seen. Breaking that late with that kind of depth and throwing it that hard, that just doesn't happen.
Now, when you consider that Lance McCullers is only 21, give him a couple of years. If that gets any better, nobody's going to hit him.
Yeah, McCullers, he's something. Ooh. That was May 18th that Kluber struck out 12 of our guys.
Take long. We're halfway home. We trail it 2-0.
Right there about we got a split doubleheader with those guys after the All-Star break, and I mean I don't see how you can pitch Chris Sale. I would love to see Chris would love to pitch in the game, but the team is more important.
I certainly agree, but if I'm Ned Yost, I'd probably only pitch Chris 7 innings in the All-Star game. Let him go a strong 7, and then whenever he comes back, he comes back.
That's the old saying. That's a conflict of interest.
I would say so. Yeah, the ultimate conflict of interest.
Yeah. Arrieta can't get it. He struck out his first trip. Just tuning in. Montana gave up 2 quick runs in the first inning. And since then, he's given up 1 hit. That was an infield single by Dexter Flower.
It's very similar to John Lester yesterday. Gave up 3 hits the first 3 hitters he faced, and then gave up 1 hit until the 7th inning.
That ball's hit hard by Arrieta. It's 3-0.
Arrieta had 3 singles and 37 at-bats until he just lined a rocket out of the ballpark. That is his first major league home run. Our Ford home run replay. It's a fastball. It was right down the middle. And line drive rocket out of the park. So Travis Wood has the baseball. The first major league home run for Jake Arrieta. His first run batted in.
Oh, to the count to Madison Russell. And talking about Corey Kluber. A's beat the Indians 2-0. Sonny Gray over Kluber. Kluber with a record of 4-10.
And Sonny Gray is some pitcher. 10-3 is ERA, 2.04. Pitching for a team 9 games under 500 in Oakland.
That's tough, though.
That home run was just the 10th that Jose's given up. He's perennially one of the most difficult pitchers to hit a home run against, and yet you have a guy who's never hit a home run. Take him out of the ballpark.
Shades of Dwayne Kuiper.
Exactly right. Except Dwayne had more at bats than Arrieta's going to get.
That's into center field. Dwayne Kuiper, former second baseman, now a fine broadcaster with the San Francisco Giants, hit 1 home run in his career.
I think it was 3,600 some odd at bats.
And I'm touching the guy who hit it all.
Yeah, but I got to tell you something. The wind was blowing out, I think, 80 miles an hour that day.
You can go to hell for lying like you can for stealing.
Okay, maybe only 70 miles an hour. But, yeah, it was one of those times that Dwayne will never forget. Jake Arrieta will never forget that line drive. And that wasn't a cheapie. That ball was crushed.
Yeah, that was. You couldn't tell by that swing that's his first home run.
No.
Fowler, 2 for 2. Leadoff single, bottom of the first, came around and scored, and then an infield single. Didn't Kuiper hit one off the top of the wall, too, off it?
He did. Came very close again. That was in Baltimore. 3,379 at bats. 1 home run and 1 almost home run. But I also gave up one to Sandy Alomar, who I think only hit 13. That was the father of the Alomars.
Yeah, but Sandy had a little power.
Not much. He didn't have much.
Yeah, he did. He gone. 2 down.
It's a good slider down and in, and Fowler, who had a couple of hits in his 2 previous at-bats, goes down on strikes.
Here's Rizzo, a line drive to left, and then he was hit by a pitch. Ate him up underneath the hands. Melky's there. And the home run by Arrieta. We're into the 6th. We trail it now by score of 3-0.
at 1:10 as our White Sox take on the Royals. The first 20,000 fans ages 21 and over will receive the 2005 World Series replica ring presented by Miller Lite, the official light Pilsner and official beer of our Chicago White Sox. Purchase tickets today by visiting whitesox.com/promos.
Twins leading the Tigers 6-1, bottom of the fourth inning. We got some work to do on our own here, trailing this guy by 3 runs.
But just maybe, Arrieta will be so excited about that home run that he'll walk a guy or two.
Well, all it takes is 2 bloops and a bomb.
Through 5, he's been pretty much untouchable. Just the Saladino base hit to right field in the 4th. But he's fallen behind 2-0.
There's a shot base hit. Carlos now on his way to second base and safe.
And that fastball up in the zone, taken right down the line in left field, and then Carlos hustles into second base.
Rizzo's going to come in and almost shake hands with Quintana. Bryant's got to hold his ground to a certain degree at third. He's on the grass, though. So here comes Rizzo.
Been a lot of first basemen over the years that will cut right in front of the pitcher on the third base side and cut off a bunt. It's especially easy for a left-handed first baseman.
Well, it's pretty obvious what McEwing now came down and told him, don't let him take the bat out of your hand. Jeff Bagwell was just about as aggressive a first baseman that ever played this game.
Jeff Bagwell, Keith Hernandez, Mark Grace, all able to do that same thing.
Well, Hernandez and Grace were just terrific. Terrific first baseman. Probably had a little better hands than Bagwell, but I don't know if they were aggressive as he was. It just, I saw Jeff catch a pop foul over here past the third baseline at our ballpark.
Well, the other 2 guys were lifetime first basemen. Jeff was a third baseman when he started.
Yeah, with Boston. That's going to get the job done. So 1 out.
Nice job by Jose. Is tried to bunt the first time, took a swing at the second one, and the third strike he was able to put in play.
So here's Adam. Adam has struck out and grounded to short.
They're in at the corners, but shortstop and second back conceding the run to stay out of the big inning.
Fastball at 96 and the count 2-0.
Adam asking once again back to Mike Everett, is that one Might have just barely touched the upper reaches of the zone.
They don't know what he's going to call.
There you see the Honda pitch tracks. You see where number 3 was.
And we're going to get on the board. Good play by Adam. He gets him in, especially when you got a big strike zone like that. And it's a 3-1 ball game.
18th run driven in. A perfect bunt by Adam Eaton. It's a cutter, so it's an absolutely perfect pitch to bunt. Especially if you're going up the right side, which he is. Almost beats it out at first. No chance at home. And the shutout is by the boards. Nice bunt by Adam Eaton.
Good play. Good play. Good at bat by Quintana. This Talley had our first hit. Sharp single in the hole between first and second. Ball hit sharply 2 seconds. Addison Russell's got it. And that'll retire the side, but we do get on the board. We'll go to the bottom of the 6th. Now trailing 3-1.
Left field at U.S. Cellular Field. It's accessible from the 100, 300, and 500 levels. Young Sox fans can learn baseball fundamentals from Chicago White Sox Training Academy coaches. The space features batting and pitching cages, base running areas, and a lot of skill instruction. It's all from Xfinity, your home for the most live sports. And there's a combination that got the Sox on the board, cutting the lead to just 2 runs.
Chris Bryant with a triple in the first inning, RBI, and a run scored, and he struck out in the 3rd. The count. Kansas City shutting out Toronto 7-0. That's after 5 in Kansas City. He gone. 7 strikeouts now for Quintana.
This ball way in on his hands off the plate, and Bryant, who does have a pretty big strike zone, can't catch up to it in there. So a lot of pitchers are going to be taking advantage of him at 23 years old. A year or 2 from now, he's going to hit an awful lot of home runs.
Right now, underneath the hands, he's got no chance.
Especially if you expand your zone 2, 3 inches, 4 inches inside. There you look at some pretty good control on the part of Jose Quintana. Control he's been exhibiting consistently.
Yeah, we talked on it yesterday. Chris Bryant gets away from the thought of extension and can learn how to draw his hands and arms in a little bit. He might hit 60 or 70.
Well, he's got a pretty good idea how to play this game, and I think it's just a matter of time till he starts to adjust and terrorizes National League pitchers.
He's not going to handle that pitch underneath on the inside corner underneath his hands with that extension he's got. He's done a great job. He had 43 home runs last year. He got a quick 12 home runs this year. But calls him out. So 2 down.
Strikeout number 8. Soler can't believe it. But this one is actually pretty close.
Yeah, I like Bryant's chances. There's no question about that.
You touched on something yesterday. When I went down to the field to talk with him and stood next to him, and you realize how big he is and the fact that he's going to fill out from where he is now, that is a very large man.
He's awesome. He's big. Real big. He's one of the biggest 6'6" guys I've ever seen. Arfia, he's hit the ball hard twice again today. He's 0 for 2.
Pretty good pickup for the Cubs. They got him as a free agent. Played with a couple of teams last year. He's in the platoon system in left field with Chris Coughlin, and it's been a good platoon system for the Cubs. Only problem that Chris Sanorfi has had is he's been disabled a couple of times. When he's stayed healthy, he's been very good.
Strikes out the side. Now with 9 strikeouts, and we're into the 7th.
beautiful sight, a beautiful city, and this is when North meets South. And once again, this game highlighted by superior pitching on both sides of the equation.
Arrieta started off, had 6 strikeouts through the first 3 innings. Has not added another one yet. Quintana gave up 2 quick runs in the first inning. Threw the home run to Arrieta leading off the 5th. And he is now with 9 strikeouts. 1-1 to count to Melky.
Melky trying to extend his hitting streak. Hit the ball awfully hard last time up.
We have 1 run on just 2 hits. We have 3 runs on 5 hits. A little can of corn out there in left field.
Extraordinary moments happen every night in baseball, but on one night they all happen in one place, and that's Cincinnati. Don't miss the 86th All-Star Game. Coverage begins at 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern. That's Tuesday, July 14th on Fox.
Here's Javi. Javi's going out to center, and he's grounded hard to second base. In the background, attendance today 41,688. So the 3-day, the weekend total is 124,854. Well. Full count. So many pitchers going into that. David Price. Set up.
We're just thinking the same thing. Simplicity of motion. Fewer moving parts. Just barely using that back step to get some momentum. And I'm sure it's really helped Jake Arrieta.
Does get him. I'll be always busting it down that line. They're just using that little step to overcome the initial inertia from the dead stop. Yes, here comes Adam. Adam has popped to short and grounded to second, or short right field. Chris Bryant out there at short right now. Good pitch right there, and the count of 0-1.
Well, early in Arrieta's career, he was averaging probably close to 4 3/4 walks per 9 innings. Not so these days. He's getting everything over the plate, and it has to be simplicity in motion.
And he's right where he should be, and that'll retire the side. 7th inning stretch. We're trailing 3-1.
By Miller Lite. This year's tournament will be held on July 20th at Harborside International Golf Center. Join the fun and sign your foursome up by visiting WhiteSoxCharities.org or call 312-674-5391. And there's a look at the numbers for Jake Arrieta. They've been brilliant. 2 hits in 7 innings, gave up the 1 earned run on the suicide squeeze. Other than that, his control has been pretty much letter perfect, as has the control of Jose Quintana. So a couple of very good pitchers going head-to-head. So far, Arrieta, with his home run, has the better of it.
Fouls that one away. Does Castro, and the count 0-2. This has been one of the amazing things about the first half of this season. The lack of run support for Jose Quintana.
Just about 2.5 years of that.
It's unbelievable. It's gotten to the point now, driving to the ballpark, that he said he did go. He got home, that's strikeout number 10.
I think he took a look down to Tom Hallion, who might have helped him out. Joe Madden is shaking his head, but look at it from the side. He did not go. So there's a break.
Taylor Teagarden. He has gone out to right and lined hard to Sanchez at second. Yeah, the lack of run support for Quintana has just been amazing. And there's a base hit.
Time now for for our Xfinity high-speed action replay, and it's the first home run in the career of Jake Arrieta. Over 100 at-bats, and Travis Wood has the baseball. Gives it to Jason Hamill, who decides that he's going to... No, he's not going to throw it out of play. That's a keepsake. It's going to go on the mantle, if he has one, or the trophy room, and I'm sure he has one of those. And how in the world can you ask a home run hitter to lay down a sacrifice bunt? He's got one sacrifice this year, so he has as many sacrifices as he does home runs.
Field for the most part straight up. Job done. 2 down.
Now he's got more sacrifices than home runs. That was a perfect bunt.
Here's Russell, the strikeout, check swing, and the fly out to center. Takes first pitch strike. Next time we will be with you will be Friday. Split doubleheader with Kansas City. And that'll take care of them here in the bottom of the 7th. We're into the 8th, trailing by 2.
And just like yesterday when the Sox did it, the Cubs did it in the first inning. The base hit by Fowler, the triple by Bryant, and the base hit by Soler. So it's 3 hits in 4 hitters, producing 2 runs, and so far that's been enough. Those are our Miller moments. And after that, Jose got awfully tough, giving up just the 1 run on the solo homer leading off the 5th inning by Jake Arrieta.
Here's Alexei. He's 0 for 2, a strikeout, and then he looped out to second base. Sox trying to get something going here to keep this. Since June 20th, the Sox are 13-6. That's the best record in Major League Baseball since June 20th. Washington is second with 12-6.
There's a look at Pedro Strop.
Bring him on.
He's the man that was acquired along with Jake Arrieta from Baltimore. And pretty much anybody but Arrieta range.
Bring him on. Breaking ball.
It's only 82 pitches, so Jake certainly has enough left. He has completed 1 game this year. That was a shutout. But just in case he has any problems with the bottom part of the order, Strop appears ready to go.
One out.
Zach Putnam loosening up as Connor Gillespie comes out to pinch hit for Tyler Flowers.
Gillespie hitting at .238, 3 homers, 15 knocked in. I believe Toronto has come back to tie Kansas City at 7. They were trailing 7-1, I think.
Connor 1 for 4 as a pinch hitter. That was a home run.
That's off the end of the bat in the left field. That's a little bloop. And 2 out.
Follow the White Sox wherever you are with MLB.com at Bat, the #1 app for live baseball. At Bat is up to the moment, at any moment, with in-game highlights, live look-ins, replay previews, radio broadcasts, statcasts, and more. Get MLB.com at Bat for your smartphone or tablet.
Here's Carlos. He's 1 for 2. A double down the left field line, and he has scored our run. Quintana got him over with a little ground ball right side, and then had him eating on the squeeze. Got him home. It's 2-0. Get something going with 2 out, right? Nope. Russell makes the catch, so that's a 1, 2, 3 innings. You've tired the last 9 he's seen, and he leads it 3-1.
And it's a lot of fans. A capacity crowd for 3 straight days. A Sox fan, a Cub fan, and a Cubs and Sox fan. This has been well attended. There's been a lot of excitement around the ballpark. It's been, for the most part, very well played for 3 straight games. The pitching has been overwhelming at times. The offense for both teams has not been particularly good, but that's been the MO of both of these teams the first half of the season. Doesn't mean that it has to be that way from here on out. That means that it's been that way from the beginning till now.
Well, you face the kind of pitching both these clubs have faced, your offense is not going to be real good.
Nope.
Fowler, Dexter. Another hard single to center. He's 3 for 4 today.
Former Cub Giovanni Soto checks in the game behind the plate as Tyler Flowers was taken down for Connor Gillespie.
Here's Rizzo, 0 for 2. Takes that breaking ball for a strike. Chops that one over.
The closer, Jason Mott, although there is no official closer on this team. That says Joe Madden feels more comfortable like that. He says his pitchers feel more comfortable, and since he's done that, they're consistently getting the job done late.
What a throw by Adam Eaton.
And Fowler, I think, wants him to take a look at it. He's standing at third base as if he felt that he got in there.
Yeah, he's not going anywhere.
Pretty solid throw. We'll take another look at it. The tag, and, well, looked like he got the foot in before the tag. The tag was very high up on the thigh. And they're going to take a look at it in New York, and let's see what they think. Looks to me like he was pretty safe at third.
Regardless if he was safe or out, it was a terrific throw by Adam Eaton.
It was that as you look at the front foot. From that angle, it's very difficult to see if the tag was there ahead of the foot.
That's close from that angle. It's according to what angle you get.
Take another look from this angle.
Big play. Either way, big play, especially for us.
Not going to be easy to find what they will term a definitive angle on this. The call was he was out at third. So we'll have to wait and see what the folks in New York decide. And the fact that it is taking as long as it's taking will show you that a definitive look might be difficult to come by.
Conclusive evidence of the two key words. That angle looks late. From that one angle we couldn't tell, and the other angle it looked like very, very close. They call him out.
The call stands, and I have to believe it's not conclusive. I mean, they couldn't find a definitive angle.
Exactly. It's just according to what angle you
So he was called out, and because they couldn't find conclusive evidence, the out stands, and Adam Eaton gets the assist. He got rid of the ball quickly. The ball got there. And so that's going to be it for Jose Quintana.
This is another, I believe this is his 9th straight quality start. He got beat last time 2-1. He's losing here, as you see, 3-1. Jose Quintana, if he didn't have any bad luck as far as run support, he wouldn't have any luck at all. So he departs, and we'll be back.
He is a former Cub, and he comes out for the 31st time, inherits Anthony Rizzo at first base with 1 out. And hits Bryant with the first pitch. Not exactly what Robin had in mind, but this ball just kept running inside, and Bryant gets hit off the elbow pad, so he's not going to feel that one all that much. And he's hit for the 5th time this year.
Jorge Soler had an infield single and an RBI. Or a little soft, I should say. Soft single in the left. A couple of strikeouts. So 1 out, 2 on. Those young, strong power hitters are going to get hit a lot. 2.
Gary Jones, the third base coach, is right in front of the dugout, not wanting to get all that close to a guy who can hit the ball awfully hard in Jorge Soler.
There you go.
Soler called out once again. This is a splitter. It has a part of the inside corner. Toyota pitch tracks will show you that that one is a strike.
Well, here's a guy who actually in this 3-game series has hit the ball harder than any other Cub hitter.
There's no doubt. He's squared him up a lot. Hasn't had a whole lot of luck, but he's hit the ball well.
Here's to Northfield. For us in the 9th, pitcher spot. Then back to the top of the order with Eaton, Saladino, Guerrero, Garcia, and hopefully a couple more.
Dan Jennings loosening up just in case.
That ball hit well into center field. Meanwhile, grab some more bench, Chris.
Not today.
And we're into the 9th.
Here's just an example. This was early with a curveball. He's used his cutter exceptionally well. The fastball has been upwards of 96 miles an hour today. But when he got to 2 strikes and used that cutter or curveball, that was pretty much it. 8 innings, 2 hits, a 1 earned run on a beautiful bunt by Adam Eaton, 6 strikeouts, and no walks to this point.
There's Emilio. Yeah. Well, we touched on it about the 4th or 5th inning. This might be the best cutter we've seen all year.
Yeah, he said just overwhelming stuff. He's had a wonderful first half.
It's just a mystery. A guy who's had a first half like this with the stuff he's got is not in that Cincinnati ballpark.
Well, he's probably thinking the same thing himself. But the way he's throwing it these days, and the fact that if he wins this one, he'll be 20-10 over the course of his Cub career, you'd have to think that he'll be there in the not too distant future. Not in Cincinnati, but in the All-Star game.
Now, With the stuff we've seen today, you could let him go 9 against the American League All-Stars.
Well, Quintana did his usual good job, going 7 in the third, giving up the 3 runs on 8 hits with no walks and 9 strikeouts. And what he's hoping for now is something he's had 44 times in the last 2.5 years. That's a no decision. Because if he does get a decision, it's not going to be one he wants.
If he loses this game, he'll be 4-9. That's why baseball, the numbers can be so misleading. It's unbelievable. That's the first strikeout for Arrieta since the 3rd inning. He had 3 in the first, 1 in the second, and 2 in the third. And now that's makes 7. And here's the top of the order. Here's Adam, 0 for 2 with a squeeze bunt. Sox, as I mentioned, since June 20th, best record in Major League Baseball at 13-6. So, regardless of the outcome of this game, we're going to go in this All-Star break feeling pretty good about ourselves, about coming out after the break in a big 4-game series with Kansas City. That split doubleheader on Friday. First game at 1, and that game will be over Comcast Sportsnet if you can't make it. Next game will be at 7, and that game will be over WGN. So 4 big games with Kansas City after the break.
One thing the Sox do realize is that if they're going to make the bona fide run at the wild card, they have got to pick it up in the Central. Coming into the Kansas City series, they will be 15-25 in their own division with a lot of games remaining.
Well, that's good.
That's good.
That's what I'm saying. That's good.
Because otherwise, you got no chance to pick it up.
That's right. And that's out of play.
And the future of Jeff Samardzija might be determined 10 days after the All-Star break. Just exactly what Rick Hahn is going to do.
That's a yank foul.
Mark Salas making some friends.
That's way high.
Tried to drop a curveball over the outside corner, but couldn't get it down in the zone. Cutter that wasn't a strike, but
that's a bad call once again. He has had a tough day behind that plate.
There's the cutter. Arrieta wants the outside corner, and Teagarden does a nice job of just moving his wrist and not yanking the glove, and you see that little slight move at the end bought the strike on a pitch that wasn't a strike, as the Toyota pitch tracks will show you.
Well, when you get, and it hadn't been just against us, when you get both sides giving the umpire some problems, you know he's had a bad day.
With a grand total of 2 hits, not much we're going to do. As J.B. Shuck comes out to pinch hit, and he's done a great job as a pinch hitter this year.
Aladino was 1 for 3, picked up our first hit back in the 4th inning. ball game is over. So the Sox come in here for this 3-game set, take 2 out of 3. It was a good series for us. And that man out there today, Jake Arrieta, is going to beat a lot of clubs with that stuff he was running up there.
Well, this is a series that was characterized by overwhelming pitching on both sides of the equation. The first 2 games, it was the Sox starters. And today, Jake Arrieta on a 2-hitter gave up a run in just his 2nd complete game of the year, but he was just overwhelming.
And he is our player of the game, 29-year-old right-hander Jake Arrieta. Wow, what a performance by him. And what a performance once again by Jose Quintana. So for Steve Stone, for our producer Mike Leary, our director Skip Ellison, our associate producer Dave Ross, for our technical manager Mark Harper, also for the mayor Mean Joe Groove, for Dave Cheller, Maury Berry, Doug Bullard, and our executive producer Jim Porno Jr. This is a Hawk. So long, everybody. Coming up next, Subaru Postgame Live with Chuck and Billy and the Washington White Sox baseball on Comcast Sportsnet.